The baby was already moving when her mother realized what was happening. Not walking, not standing, crawling. Small, unsteady hands pressed against the hardwood floor as her knees slid forward, inch by careful inch. The movement was quiet, almost harmless, except for the direction it was headed. Straight toward the dog. The camera was already recording. Propped against a stack of books, forgotten after being turned on minutes earlier. It had been meant to capture a normal afternoon. Nothing special. Nothing dangerous. Just a baby playing on the floor. Instead, it captured the exact second her mother's breath caught in her throat. The dog stood near the center of the room, his body filling the space in a way that made the baby look impossibly small. His shadow stretched across the floor, dark and heavy. One paw alone looked bigger than her daughter's entire head. "Wait," she whispered. But her voice didn't seem to exist in the room. Her legs wouldn't move. Her arms felt locked in place, frozen by the sudden collision of instincts. Run. Grab her. Don't move. Don't scare him. Every warning she'd ever heard crashed through her mind all at once. The baby made a happy sound, completely unaware. A soft giggle, followed by a determined push forward. The dog noticed. His head turned slowly, deliberately, dark eyes locking onto the small figure approaching him. He didn't growl. He didn't bark. He didn't step away. He just watched. The room felt different now. Thicker. Quieter. As if the air itself was holding its breath. Her mother could hear her own heartbeat pounding in her ears, loud enough to drown out everything else. The baby kept crawling. The distance closed. And the camera kept recording, silent, steady, capturing a moment that would later leave her mother in tears. They had never been afraid of him before. That was the thought looping through her mind as she stood there, frozen, watching her daughter crawl closer. The dog wasn't new. He wasn't a stranger brought in without warning. He had been part of their home for years, long before toys cluttered the floor, long before baby monitors and sleepless nights. He had been there through quiet mornings and loud evenings, through laughter and arguments, through moments that felt ordinary and moments that felt heavy. He had always been calm, patient, the kind of dog people trusted instinctively. Friends would comment on how gentle he was. "How does such a big dog move so carefully? You're lucky, he's got such a soft temperament." And they believed it. They had no reason not to. When the baby was born, he adjusted without protest. He stayed nearby but never crowded. He watched from a distance, ears flicking at every cry, eyes following every movement. He learned the new rules without being taught. No jumping, no sudden movements, no rough play. That history mattered. Until suddenly, it didn't. Because standing in that moment, watching her baby crawl across the floor, history felt fragile. Trust felt thin. Logic dissolved under the weight of fear. She knew all the right things. She knew dogs communicated through body language. She knew sudden movements could trigger reactions. She knew panic could make things worse. But she also knew this was her child. 10 months old. Unsteady. Curious. Completely defenseless. She replayed the seconds leading up to it in her mind. How she'd turned away just long enough to reach for a bottle. How quiet the room had been. How normal everything felt, until it didn't. Now every instinct she had as a mother screamed that something was wrong, even if nothing had gone wrong yet. That was the hardest part. Nothing had happened. But everything could. The dog stood there, calm and silent, carrying the weight of all her doubts without even knowing it. And as her daughter crawled closer, she realized this wasn't just a test of the dog. It was a test of trust. And she didn't know which side of herself would win. Every sound in the room suddenly felt too loud. The soft drag of the baby's palms against the floor. the faint thump of her knees as she pushed herself forward, the quiet shift of weight as the dog adjusted his stance. Time didn't move normally anymore. It stretched, slowed, thickened, each second expanding into something heavy and unbearable. Her mother could feel her pulse racing in her throat, her chest tight as if the air itself had grown heavier. The distance between them shrank. 5 feet. The baby paused, rocking gently on her hands and knees, her balance uncertain. She looked up, eyes bright and curious, then laughed softly, pleased with herself. The sound was sweet, innocent, and terrifying. 4 feet. Her mother took a step forward, then stopped herself just as quickly. Too fast and she might startle the dog. Too slow and she might not reach her daughter in time. Her hands hovered uselessly in the air, fingers curled, trembling. The dog's ears shifted forward. Not pinned back. Not raised in alarm. Just alert. His gaze followed the baby's movement with intense focus, tracking every small advance. He didn't bare his teeth. He didn't lower his head in warning. But he didn't look away either. 3 feet. Her heart hammered so hard it hurt. She whispered his name, barely louder than a breath, trying to pour calm into her voice even as panic clawed at her insides. Stay. Good boy, stay. The dog remained still. 2 feet. The baby reached out with one small hand, fingers opening and closing like she was trying to grasp the air itself. Her mouth opened in a wide smile, a soft sound bubbling up from her chest. The dog yawned. Long, slow. Exaggerated. Every tooth flashed white in the afternoon light. Her breath caught violently in her throat. Fear surged, sharp and blinding, even though part of her recognized it as a calming signal. Logic struggled to survive under the weight of instinct. 1 foot. The baby suddenly sat back on her bottom, wobbling slightly before steadying herself. She looked up, straight up, into the dog's massive face towering above her. She spread her arms wide. Hug, she said clearly, the words simple and perfect. The room seemed to collapse inward. Her mother lunged forward, her restraint breaking at last, fear ripping through her chest like fire. Every muscle screamed now, every thought focused on one thing: get to her. But before she could take another step, the dog moved. He didn't move fast. That was the first thing the camera made clear later, when she watched the footage again with shaking hands. In the moment, everything felt sudden, overwhelming. But the recording showed the truth her panic couldn't see. The dog moved slowly, deliberately. As the mother lunged forward, his massive head began to lower. Not in a snap, not in a rush, but inch by careful inch. His front legs bent outward, elbows folding as his broad chest descended toward the floor. His weight shifted smoothly, evenly, controlled in a way that looked practiced, almost thoughtful. The camera captured the subtle details, the way his shoulders rolled as he adjusted his balance, the way his paws spread slightly to stabilize himself, the way his breathing changed, deep, steady, measured. The baby leaned forward, tipping toward him with all the trust in the world. Her tiny arms wrapped around one thick front leg. She couldn't reach all the way around it. Her fingers barely met on the other side, her grip more symbolic than secure. The dog froze. Not stiff. Not tense. Still. For a few seconds, 3, maybe 4, nothing happened. No movement. No sound. The room felt suspended, like even the light streaming through the windows had paused midair. Then, impossibly gently, the dog lowered his head further. His massive jaw hovered close to the baby's shoulder, close enough that fear surged again in her mother's chest as she watched. Close enough that the danger felt unbearable. But he didn't snap. He didn't pull away. Instead, he rested his chin on the floor directly in front of her. Lower. Smaller. Non-threatening. The camera angle showed what her eyes barely registered in the moment. He was offering his head, bringing himself down to her level, shrinking his presence as much as a body that large could. The baby giggled, delighted by the closeness, unaware of the weight of the moment unfolding around her. Her hands slid from his leg to his neck, burying themselves in his fur. The mother stopped moving. Her breath stuttered. Her hands shook. Because suddenly, the threat she'd been bracing for wasn't there anymore. The camera had recorded something else entirely. Not danger. Choice. The sound that filled the room wasn't a cry. It was laughter. Bright and sudden, spilling out of the baby's chest like something uncontainable. A pure, joyful squeal that shattered the tension the way glass breaks under pressure. The baby leaned forward, pressing her face into the dog's thick neck, her small hands disappearing into his fur. Her arms tightened as much as they could, wrapping around him in the clumsy, wholehearted way only a child can manage. Her body shook with giggles. The dog didn't move. He didn't flinch. He didn't shift away. He stayed exactly where he was, his chin still resting on the floor, his massive frame folded down and quiet. His eyes softened, the alert intensity melting into something calm, almost gentle. Across the room, her mother's knees finally gave out. She collapsed onto the edge of the couch, one hand flying to her mouth as a sob broke free. Her chest heaved as she tried to breathe, tears streaming down her face so fast she couldn't wipe them away. Her entire body trembled, the adrenaline draining all at once. "Oh my God," she whispered, over and over again. The fear she'd been holding back crashed into relief so powerful it left her dizzy. Her heart pounded, her hands shook, and she laughed once, broken, breathless, through her tears. The camera caught the moment her expression changed. From terror, to disbelief, to something that looked like awe. The dog lifted his eyes briefly, glancing toward her, then back to the baby, as if checking both at once. He remained still, aware, present, protective without being possessive. The baby nestled closer, her laughter fading into soft, contented sounds. She patted his neck, fascinated by the texture of his fur, the warmth beneath her hands. Her mother watched, unable to look away. She had been bracing for disaster. Instead, she was watching gentleness. The realization hit her all at once, and that was the moment that truly broke her. Not because she had almost lost something, but because she had just witnessed a choice she hadn't known was possible. It would have been easy to think the moment was over. The danger had passed. The baby was safe. Her mother could finally breathe again. Most videos would have ended right there, cutting away at the peak of emotion. But the camera kept rolling, and what it captured next mattered just as much. The baby shifted suddenly, her balance unsteady as her excitement faded into drowsiness. Her small body tipped sideways, pulled by the awkward grip of her own curiosity. She was seconds from tumbling toward the hard floor. Her mother's body tensed again, instinct flaring, but the dog moved first. Not abruptly. Not forcefully. With careful precision, he shifted his massive weight, angling his side beneath the baby's tipping body. The movement was subtle, controlled, but intentional. The baby's fall turned into a soft slide against his ribcage instead of a hard impact on the floor. One large paw came forward and rested lightly across her legs. Not pinning her. Not trapping her. Steadying her. The baby blinked, startled for only a moment, then relaxed again, pressing into the warmth at her side. Her breathing slowed, small chest rising and falling in an even rhythm. The dog stayed alert. His eyes tracked the room, flicking toward the doorway, the windows, the corners of the space. His ears shifted at every sound. He didn't get up. He didn't leave. He simply adjusted again and again, making tiny corrections to support a body that weighed almost nothing compared to his own. When the baby reached for his ear, he gently tilted his head away, redirecting her without startling her. When her fingers tugged too hard at his skin, he shifted just enough to ease the pressure. Each movement said the same thing. Awareness. Restraint. Choice. Her mother watched in silence, tears threatening to fall again, not from fear this time, but from the weight of what she was seeing. This wasn't luck. This was intention. She didn't cry the first time she watched the video. In the hours after it happened, her body was still buzzing with leftover adrenaline. Her hands shook when she held her phone, her thoughts scattered and loud. Relief drowned out everything else. The baby was safe. That was all that mattered. But days later, when the house was quiet and her daughter was asleep, she pressed play again. This time, she watched differently. She noticed the pauses, the timing, the restraint in every movement. She saw how the dog anticipated her daughter's shifts before they happened. How he lowered himself early, long before the baby touched him. How he controlled his strength in ways that didn't come from training commands, but from awareness. That realization hit her hard. In the moment, she had been watching for danger. The camera had been watching for truth. She cried then, not from fear, but from understanding. Trust, she realized, isn't about believing nothing will go wrong. It's about recognizing when someone chooses to act with care, even when they don't have to. The dog had options. He could have stepped away. He could have stood his ground. He could have reacted out of instinct alone. Instead, he chose restraint. He chose to make himself smaller. He chose patience. He chose her child. That understanding rewrote the moment in her mind. The fear didn't disappear, but it softened, reshaped into something else. Something heavier. Something more meaningful. When she looked at him now, she didn't just see a family pet. She saw a presence. A guardian. And that was why, every time she watched the footage again, tears still found her eyes. The video ends without drama. No sudden movement. No raised voices. No rush to grab the baby away. Just a quiet room, a sleeping child, and a dog who refuses to move until she is safe. The camera keeps recording a few seconds longer, long enough to capture the stillness. Long enough to show the baby's slow, even breathing. Long enough to show the dog's eyes scanning the room, alert and watchful, even as his body remains perfectly calm. When the footage eventually cuts off, the moment doesn't feel finished. It lingers. Because what was recorded wasn't just a close call, it was a choice. One that can't be reduced to training or instinct alone. One that forces anyone watching to confront their own fears, their own assumptions. So here's the question. If you were standing there, watching your baby crawl toward a dog that big, what would you have done? Would you have trusted what you hoped was true? Or would fear have taken over before trust had a chance? There isn't a right answer. Only the one that feels honest to you. Maybe that's why this video still makes people stop and watch. Why it still brings tears to those who see it. Because beneath the tension and relief, it asks something deeper. Not just about dogs. Not just about babies. But about how we choose to trust when everything we love feels fragile. And sometimes, what a camera captures isn't just a moment in time. It's a reminder of how gentleness can exist where we least expect it.